Hey guys, what's up? Welcome back to Cantwell Beauty. I am Sierra, and if this is your first time here, welcome. And if this is a returning visit, thank you so much. Today I'm going to be doing my eyeshadow palette collection. I have over 180 eyeshadow palettes, and I'm going to take you through each one. I'm going to swatch what I can and try to do my best to get through all of them. I am a collector, so I have some older palettes that have expired, but I keep them because I love them. Some of them mark the beginning of my eyeshadow palette collection obsession, and some of them I just keep for fun. So, you know, if you'd like to leave down in the comments some of your favorite palettes, that would be great. If you see some that you're interested in and I don't talk about them enough, please let me know. If you'd like to see an eyeshadow look with one of them, something like that, please let me know. I need some ideas for my channel. Okay guys, let's get started. Finally, we're gonna get to my eyeshadow palette collection. I have switched over to my smaller camera in hopes that the footage will not get screwed up in any way, so let's get into it. This is my 6-drawer organizer that I've been talking about for days, and I have eyeshadow palettes in 3 drawers. So I have them in this bottom drawer here, I have them in this drawer, and this bottom drawer over here. So I'm going to start with the one that's closest to me when I am typically doing my makeup, and that's next to my vanity underneath the 2 drawers I already went through in videos both yesterday and the day before. So let's get into it. Okay guys, so this drawer here holds about 80 some palettes, and I'm going to go through them and just kind of show you different collections I have in here, and well, let's just get started. Over to the left, I've got the Stupid Love eyeshadow palette by Haus Laboratories. This is great. It's not fantastic, but it's cute. It does it for me on the blue area. This area here leaves a little bit to be desired. The shimmers could have been better. The mattes are good, but the shimmers definitely could have been better. I have the I Want Candy Too Faced collection. I've literally used this maybe one time. I don't know if it's just doesn't do it for me or whatever. No shade to Candy, I freaking love her. I just never use the palette. I have so many that I think I just never got around to it. I will use it soon, hopefully. That's why I put it in this drawer. So I have a lot of ColourPop palettes. This is one of them. I have the Shayla ColourPop palette, Perception it's called, and then I have the So Jaded palette by Kathleen Lights and ColourPop. I love this palette. This is probably my favorite palette right now. This emerald right here is to die for. Look at this. Woo! I love that shade so much. There's aquamarine in here is beautiful. I've followed a bunch of her tutorials and I've tried to make some eye looks of my own. I used this the other day when I filmed, and I just absolutely love this palette. Then I have my own Tarte palette here that I filled up with a bunch of different single shadows. These 4 shimmer ones down here are absolutely beautiful. They're by Itsy, and they were a collaboration with Coffee Break with Danny. I love them so much. I use them pretty frequently. As you can see, there's dips in some of them. The rest are like ABH, ColourPop, probably some Ofra in there, I would imagine. I'm not going to go through all of them, but if you're interested, I will go through all of them if you'd like to see a video. As you can see, I hit pan on a lot of those, so yeah. And I have the Shane Dawson Jeffree Star Conspiracy palette. I was looking to get this for a very long time, and I finally got my hands on it. I have the Machino. This is not a Machino toy teddy bear palette. I don't know what this is called. Machino Bear eyeshadow palette. It looks like that. It's really cute, but obviously it's very bulky, so I rarely use it. It just sits in my drawer. I used to have it out on my vanity, and I probably should do that because it's so cute, so maybe I'll go back to doing that. These you might recognize from the other day. I just stuck these in the drawer so I wouldn't forget that I had them, and that is the Haus Laboratories Glam Room 1 palette. I really like this, except the shimmers are I don't know, they're like top coats. They're not exactly, you know, very, very pigmented. That one came out nice, but I still think it's very top coaty. It's not, you know, doesn't pack a punch. So still a nice palette though. Then I have two KKW. I have the KKW and Mario. It's that pop of blue that everybody was wearing for a minute. I'll show you that one. Wow, that one came out beautifully. I love the rest of the shimmers here. They're beautiful. There's, you know, like a taupe one. There's like a light gold and like a bronze. They're really, really pretty. Then of course I have the classic palette, and this one's gorgeous as well. This color here is absolutely, let's see where I can put that. Gorgeous. It's like a bronzy gold, pink. It's just everything you could want in a lid shade. So beautiful, beautiful. Then I have one of the e.l.f. little bite-size eyeshadows. I have the Rosewater one. This one's very, very pretty. I love this. I use this quite often to the point where I was like, I think I need to stop using pink eyeshadows because I wear it too much. I have a Natasha Denona Mini Sunset palette. This one's very pretty. I feel like this one got a lot of flack, but I'm not really sure why, because it's super cute, meaning the formula is really good. I don't know why people were saying the formula isn't good. The mattes are great. The shimmers are beautiful. As you can see, they're insanely pigmented. I mean, you have everything you want in a palette right there. It's a full eye look. So, or full, you know, a couple eye looks. So, I don't know. I loved it. I have another quad here. These are not all Anastasia shadows, I don't think. So, I have one of these. I don't know if that counts as a palette, but I count it. So, I have the Shane Dawson Jeffree Star Mini Controversy. This one doesn't really do it for me as far as story. It's cute, but I haven't used it yet, so I can't really, you know, I reserve judgment on that one. So then I have two Fenty Beauty Snap Shadow eyeshadow palettes. I have the number 2 Cool Neutrals, and my favorite shade on that one is this like taupey purple right here. It just looks really good on the lid, especially if you have brown eyes. I just think that really makes your brown eyes pop. This one is the 07 Cadet palette. I really love this color story. I had to have it when I saw it. This shimmer down here doesn't really produce much pigment. Of course, it'll show up really well now. On the eyes, I don't know. It doesn't do a lot for me. It's pretty. This one's kind of weak too. More of an inner corner highlight, if you want to go that route with this palette, but I just love it for the formats. And this is my stack of ColourPop palettes. So I'm going to go through all of these. We've got the Mar palette. This one is absolutely beautiful. Cool tones, warm tones, everything you need to get that beachy vibe. These mattes are absolutely beautiful. They don't show up great on a swatch, but that doesn't really mean anything. They're beautiful. ColourPop shadows are always good to me, so I never really have a problem with them. And then the shimmers are just very pretty. Then I have the collab between, I think it's Carucci and ColourPop. It is the Brown Sugar palette, and I have used this quite a bit. Not as much as I probably could, being that I have brown eyes. This would really bring out my brown eyes. Then I have the other two collabs between Kathleen Lights and ColourPop, and one is the Dream Street. I hit major pan on that shade there. This is one of my favorite palettes. Then there's the Zodiac palette, which is beautiful. I love this palette too. Favorite shades are the Pisces and the Leo. There's Pisces, woohoo! And the Leo. I know I'm swatching a lot of shimmers, but I feel like, you know, mattes are kind of boring sometimes to swatch, but these mattes are really, really good. We've got the Yes Please palette. No, it's not the Cute AF palette. It's the Yes Please, as it says on the back. This was a dupe for the Natasha Denona Sunset palette, I think. So this one is a great dupe. So many people did videos on that, so I'm not really going to go too in depth, but this is a great palette. I have the My Little Pony palette. This one I was afraid of for a really long time, and I really never used it, but once I did, man, I loved it so much. This color I used, it's got like a duochrome effect. It's like almost like yellowy orange pink. And then I use this shade here. And I don't know, they're really, really pretty. Then we have the Salvaje palette by Becky G. This was definitely my favorite for a really long time. This shade down here, Caramello, and Lola are so good. You can just put them in the crease and head out the door. I didn't use like Vibra or Cafecito very much. I just started getting into deeper outer V colors. I'm not really that adventurous with my eyeshadow. I do try different looks with tutorials and things of that nature, but oh, that's weird. There's a shade called Corona. Another Carucci and ColourPop shade, Femme Rosa, the She palette. This one I really never used, not because I didn't think it was pretty. I just never reached for it. I don't know. They've released similar palettes since then, like the pinky palette and the red palette and the orange palette, but I don't know, there's just something about this that made me not use it. Maybe I'll reach for it, you know, soon. Same deal with this one. You Have Me at Hello. I probably use this one more. As you can see, it's a little dirtier, but again, I just not a color story. I guess I thought it was exciting, and then once I got it, I wasn't very impressed. So, but this is really pretty. That's calling to me, the taupey purple. I love colors like that. Let's see what these mattes look like. Oh yeah, that's a pretty color story right there. This is called the I Think I Love You palette. This is what that one looks like. I'm not even sure if some of these are available. If they are, great. If they're not, I'm really sorry, but these are just ones that are in my collection. That's the purpose of this video. So this one's really pretty. A lot of the shimmers, you know, call out to me. This one right here is like Trophy Wife from Fenty Beauty. I mean, it's like exactly the same. So then I have the Disney Designer Collection, and this was like the princess one. It's a princess thing, and this one's really, really pretty. This one's very feminine. It has like the black and the brown down here to, like, you know, help your outer V or whatever you want to do. This one's called Midnight Curfew, and it has some glitter in there. It's black, but it has glitter, which I think is kind of different. And yeah, so this one's pretty, but not my favorite. Then I have the All I See Is Magic palette. This one is absolutely gorgeous. I love this palette so much. The shimmers in here call out to me on a whole nother level. I swatched this recently and I was like, how come I haven't used this in a long time? So I will definitely go back to using it very soon. That one is dual chrome. I don't know if you can see, it's like brown and green at the same time. It's to die for. Then I have some drugstore and ancillary palettes that I never use. I've got the Maybelline Lemonade Craze. I did try this one out, but I never really used it beyond that. I used like Sweet Tea, Lemonade Craze, and that's like it. I wasn't impressed with the formula. So, I don't know, they're just chalky. It's drugstore. I don't know what else to say. L'Oreal Paradise Enchanted. This one I used a little bit more. It's hard for me. I don't get seduced by the drugstore products. I really prefer high-end eyeshadow palettes. I just think the formulas are better. So forgive me for saying that. I just do. There's very little brands that impress me on the drugs when it comes to the drugstore. Now this palette was very, very good. The CoverGirl True Naked Roses palette. I use this one all the time because, again, I love pink eyeshadow. As you can see, I hit major pan on this middle shade here. That one's like a dusty mauve. And this one was kind of like a pal for a while. Never used the little paddle in there, but yeah. Then we have another contender for best eyeshadows at the drugstore, and that is the Rosé in the Air Wet n Wild palette. This one is a dupe for the Modern Renaissance by ABH. People say that because of the color story. Formula-wise, it's way different. This one isn't as chalky as the ABH, so you can either take that as good or bad, depending on what your preferences are when it comes to eyeshadow formulas. This palette is fantastic. It was like $5. Sonia Kashuk. This is called the Ion Neutral Matte, and it's the 02 palette. This one is a dupe for the Visart palette, their Neutral Matte palette. I rarely ever use this, except when I'm showing people examples of dupes. It's okay, it's just not close to the Visart one. Visart's my favorite eyeshadows, and these just didn't do it for me. Again, not a bad palette, just kind of overpriced, and an okay formula. I have these two little palettes I never use, Lancome. These little palettes they give away like when you get your makeup done. They're like free gifts. This is called French Kiss Color Design Palette. And then this is like an Ulta Beauty one that I got as a free gift. Again, never used it, but I'm just showing it because it's in my palette collection. This one I reviewed on my channel as part of my Primark haul, and it is called the Nude Basics eyeshadow palette, and it was cute. I was able to do an eyeshadow look with it, and I used some liquid shadows. Yeah, so it was good. I wouldn't recommend buying it over a ColourPop palette or, you know, Morphe or something like that that's on the lower end, or even Wet n Wild. But I mean, if you're in a pinch, not bad. Oh, $7. $7. The next stack of palettes I want to show you are from Deck of Scarlet. Deck of Scarlet is a subscription service that sends you a palette a month, and I signed up for it a while back and did it for about 7 weeks. So anyway, or 7 months, excuse me. So this one looks like this. You open it up and there are lip products there separate from the powder products, which I thought was genius. And I never use these because I rarely use palettes that are all together like this. They're freaking fantastic for traveling, but how much traveling do I really do, especially now? So I'm gonna keep these though for those days when I do go back to traveling. Anyway, this is the edition this is edition 7, and this is edition 6. Edition 5. This one doesn't have the separation one. I'm not really sure why they didn't do that, but maybe somebody, whoever designed it, wanted a full mirror. Hey, edition 4. This one I used, obviously. Edition 3. This one I also used. Edition 2. This one I used. Very pretty, very cool toned. I love it. And edition 1. This one I love because it reminds me of Rosita, Beauty by Rosita, and she did an entire video and tutorial on this, and I learned how to do a look with this palette, and it was really cute. I've got the Urban Decay Nocturnal Shadow Box palette. This was a gift from a friend at work, and I love this palette so much. It's got so much you can do with it. Urban Decay, sometimes it's like hit or miss with them, especially palettes like this that aren't like a major release, but it's beautiful. Midnight Cowboy Rides Again is such a beautiful shade. Oh my gosh, it's so pretty. It's got like a pink reflect in it. Oh, it's so pretty. Then I have a Colored Rain Beauty Rust palette, and this one's pretty. I don't use it as much because the formula is very just kind of chalky and weird. It's like, I don't know how to explain it, but see how it's like, it like falls off my skin? It just has like a weird consistency. It's pigmented, but it's like, I think they're pressed pigments or something. I don't know, but I'm not crazy about this palette. Then I have palettes from Unique. I did support a friend when they were doing Unique, and they did a Unique party, and I bought 3 palettes from them. This is what one looks like. That's 3, and that's 5. This one I got from a BoxyCharm, and it's the Ace Beauté Grandiose palette, and this one I love so much. The color story is just fabulous. For example, Rosé, beautiful, and Myrtle, which is kind of funny shade name, but love that. I just love this palette. This palette is so pretty. Then we have the Dose of Colors Baked Browns. I recommend this palette highly. I use this almost daily. At a certain point. As you can see, I hit pan on 2 of the shades. The perfect matte palette for brown eyes or blue eyes or green eyes, really any eye. I've got the Blink BoxyCharm Electric Eyes palette. This one's very pretty. You just use this with like a couple matte shadows in the crease and you're good to go. This one is just, I mean, come on now. Woo. We've got the Prism eyeshadow palette by e.l.f. This one I rarely use. Years ago, Kathleen Lights recommended this. She's right in that she said it's the perfect go-to palette when it comes to drugstore for shimmers. It is a great shimmer palette. It's just a lot of the colors look the same, like at the end here. Like there's hardly any difference between them. I mean, it's negligible. So I've got the Butter London BoxyCharm palette. I don't know what this is called, but oh, it says it on the inside. Who knew? Natural Goddess palette. The colors are pretty. It's just tough because there's really no matching lid crease colors. We have Temptress and Femme Fatale as far as mattes go. But like, what am I going to do with that in regards to the shimmers in the palette? I mean, you can. It's just not going to look neutral. And then the color, I don't know, just something about it. Beautiful, great formula, but they could have done a little something different. I've got the Urban Decay Kristen Leanne palette. This little one, which is called the Daydream eyeshadow palette. I love this color story because it's all neutrals, warms, and it's just so pretty. I've got the MAC Holiday Snowball Eye Compact. And this one I really like. I don't remember using this. I know I did. I just don't remember what eye look I created or anything. So it's not that memorable. I've got this Old Lorac Pro To Go palette. I use this all the time. This rosé shade right here was like my jam for like the office, for an office look. Just, you know, throw that on the lid and go. That was before I knew what a crease color was. Then we've got the Naked Cosmetics palette. This came in a BoxyCharm. I love it because the colors are so different from each other and they're so different from other palettes. So I'll swatch these for you. We've got a green, we've got the orange, and we've got the burgundy color. Burgundy? Ron Burgundy? So I think those are fire, especially the orange. The orange is just crazy. Okay, then we have Profusion Mixed Metals palette. It's 9 matte and metallic shadows. This is one of my favorite drugstore or affordable palettes. Profusion is not talked about enough. This palette is so good. I love this likable shade. It's like this like pukey brown, and it's just, oh, I love it. I've got the Tarteist Pro by Tarte. This one's very pretty. I don't use it as much as I probably could, but as you can see, I have a lot of eyeshadow palettes. I've got Makeup Forever, the Artist 9 palette. This one I love so much for just basic looks. You can create a look going up. That's kind of how the stories are built, or, you know, you can create however you want. Same goes for this palette. This one's like the spring one. I love this palette so much. Again, you can create looks going upwards, or you can create them going across. It's kind of, you know, up to you, however you want to design your look. Then I've got some Makeup Geek palettes. I've got one I designed on my own. So yes, that is a palette that I picked out the shades, and then you pop them in the back. And I don't know what the shades are. If you're interested, I will go and do a video about the shades I picked and why I picked them. Let me know. Then I have a Manny MUA palette. Mine is Beaten to Filth. I love this palette. I use this palette every day for like ever. This palette, this color right here is the best duochrome I've ever used in my life. It's perfect for that nighttime look. Then I have the Pumpkin Spice palette. I had to have this when I saw it. I just thought the marketing was great. The colors are great, and gosh, it's just such a nice palette. This color down here I never used, but let's see. Oh, the pigment's not really coming out that well. Then again, I've had it for a year or so, so it's been sitting in the drawer. Then we have some Kylie palettes. I've got the Burgundy palette, the original packaging here. I've had these for a while. The Bronze palette, that's what that one looks like. These are so overpriced, but I bought them. Then I have the Queen Herbie EP5 collection palette. I love Queen Herbie. I've been following her since her and her husband were Carmen, and I just love them so much. And this palette I don't use as much as I probably should to support her, but I bought the palette in any event. Oh, another Kylie palette. This is the Holiday 2016 palette, just to give you an idea of how long I've had this one. This silver shade is so beautiful. Oh my god, I love that. I literally remember doing an eyeshadow look for that on Christmas, and it looked so banging. So yeah. Then I have the Tarte Man-Eater palette. This is the original one. Now it's cut in half here, and then it has a black shadow down there, which makes it pretty much the perfect palette. Then I have a Smashbox Cover Shot Ablaze eye palette, and this one is like the perfect fall palette. I just think it's so pretty. These shades in here are fading because it's so old, but I'm keeping it. This palette I got in a BoxyCharm. I was looking to buy it, but I got it in a BoxyCharm anyway. So it's the Laura Lee's Los Angeles Party Animal palette, and it's so vibrant. I just can't even tell you. The camera's probably not even picking up how vibrant it is, but this blue here, this blue there, I mean, that's an eye look right there. Woo! Peanut Butter palette by Too Faced, excuse me, Peanut Butter and Jelly palette. This jelly shade was my jam for the longest time. I used to wear that on the lid like it was my job. Jam, jelly, job. And this palette is, I think, still available, so if it is, go get it. It's fantastic. I've got the Huda Beauty Warm Brown Obsessions palette. These are like 30 bucks, and they're not bad for how small they are, compact, how many shadows you get, how big the pans are. I mean, the pans aren't big. As you can see, it's the size of my palm, but there's definitely palettes that offer a lot less for more. So then I've got the Dose of Colors Desi Katie First palette. It's got like the shimmer shades in there. Just to give you an example, woo, very, very shimmery. Then I have a bunch of MAC quads. I have the 2 Mariah Carey quads, as you can see. I've got the 2 Patrick Star original holiday collection ones. And I've got the spring collection ones. These are absolutely beautiful. This one's my favorite one right here. Okay guys, so that's drawer number 1. Welcome to drawer number 2. I apologize for the air conditioner, but it is summer, so we're gonna just roll with it, and I'm gonna speak up. This is my section where I keep like my higher end palettes. Some of my most used palettes are in this drawer. We've got the Pure Festival palette, looks like that. This one's super pretty, got that one in a BoxyCharm. Then I have the Kylie I Want It All palette that looked like that. It comes with a highlight and a blush. I really enjoyed this one. I used it a lot less than I thought I was going to originally, but it's super cute. The packaging is awesome. I Want It All. This was her birthday palette from a while back. Then I have the BH Cosmetics Weekend Festival palette. Looks like that. A little bit better than the other festival palette that I just showed you, just because there's more color selection. There's a lot more you can do with it when it comes to like lower lash line. You know, you could do like a bunch of pinks or something on your lid, and then do like a pop of blue or aquamarine or something like that under your eye. So that would be really cool. Another BH Cosmetics palette, I've got the Glam Reflection Gilded palette. Looks like that. Super pretty, very inexpensive, and definitely worth it for the pigment and the affordability. Pretty Vulgar Nightingale palette. I've never used this. It's just all cool toned and things of that nature, so I really don't get to use it, but I keep it in my collection for if I do want to do a cool tone look. Alamar Cosmetics, I've got both of her palettes, the Reina del Caribe, terrible accent, volume 1 and volume 2. This is volume 1, and the colors in there are amazing. This is Celia and Varadero. Just to give you an example there, they're completely beautiful. And volume 2 comes in the blue packaging, and as you can see, she's got the mattes, the colorful mattes there, the yellow and the pink, and then she's got the shimmers going on up there. Then I've got the Fenty Beauty Galaxy palette, and this one came out when she basically first launched the line, and it's all shimmers. I rarely ever use this, but I'm glad I picked it up just because it's part of my collection and I use it once in a while. Laura Lee Los Angeles, the Cat's Pajamas palette. I use this all the time. As you can see, I hit pan on 2 shades. The other shades are used quite as well. This is a great everyday palette, whether you're just learning or you're getting into makeup, or you've been in makeup a while. This palette is just great formula wise and textures and colors and color story, so I love it. Violet Voss Essentials palette. I've never really used that one, but it's very colorful. Fiona Styles, a now defunct brand. I got this based on the recommendation of Coffee Break with Danny. She did a video on it, and I love the look of the palette, so I picked it up. Kat Von D, now KVD, the Pastel Goth palette. I think this is still available, but yeah, this one's just beautiful. Dominique Cosmetics Celestial Thunder. I think this is my only palette from them. Yeah, I got this in a BoxyCharm. I used it once. I used this Zero Gravity shade, which is this purpley gray matte color, and it's really pretty. It shows up pretty well on the lid, so yeah, that's that one. I've got the Desi and Katie Friendcation palette. I think everybody knows what this one looks like, but just in case you do not, this is what that beaut looks like. The Laura Mercier Eye Art Artist palette. I got my makeup done by a makeup artist at Sephora with this palette, and I bought it after that. I don't use it as much as I thought I would, but it's really pretty and goes well with brown eyes. The Pat McGrath Mothership Sublime palette. I found out yesterday this is no longer available, so I'm glad I picked it up. This is what it looks like. Very pretty. These, if you haven't used Pat McGrath shadows, you definitely should, because they are just something else. They are beautiful. That orange shade in the middle there, oh, so nice. I have the Lorac Malibu Free Spirit palette. This one was also given to me as a gift, and I love this palette. This color here and this color here are great for the lid, and then you can throw that in the crease. It's meant as a bronzer, but I use the whole palette as kind of an eye look, so it's really cool. Persona Cosmetics Identity palette. This one's great. It's a neutral palette with leaning cool tone. I don't use it as much as I probably could, but again, I have so many palettes, so I try. It's a running theme of this video. Milani Gilded Desires. I don't use this one because I didn't like it. I probably should give it away, as I only used a couple shades. The shimmers are okay, but the mattes just left a lot to be desired. I just don't like the formula. I've got the Too Faced White Peach palette. I use this, but the colors are very light. Even the darker shades don't throw off a lot of pigment. It smells really good though. Then I have the Just Peachy mattes, and this one I loved. This one, the colors are amped up a little bit more than the last one, and it smells amazing. Look at that. The Tartelette in Bloom palette, I promise you, it looks boring, but it's not. If you use the mattes, if you use the shimmers, it's the perfect wedding palette. It's just everything you need in a palette. The Tartelette Toasted palette, I remember this was like the hot new palette when it came out, and everyone had to have it, and I had to have it as well, so I picked it up. My favorite shades in this one, looks like I used Candle and Simmer a lot. It's hard for me to remember some of these palettes, so I just look at which ones I hit pan or used to hit pan, close to hitting pan on. Then we have some Natasha Denona palettes. I've got the Sunrise palette, and it looks like this. Forgive me for saying this, but these shades are amazing, but the length of time these stayed on my eyelids was not very long. I don't know if I tried it out in a hotter day, on hotter days, or what the situation was, but it seems like every time I try to keep this palette on my eyes, it just does not work. I'm thinking I need to try a new primer or something like that. I don't use concealer. I use MAC Painterly Paint Pot, which should work. It works with all my other shadows. I don't know. The palette's beautiful. It's worth it if you don't wear it for 12 hours, but I'm sorry, my work day was long and I wore it after that, and yeah, the color just didn't last. Then we have the Natasha Denona Sunset palette. This is one of my favorite palettes of all time. I use this palette all the time. As you can see, I use this shade a lot. It's very orange. And I use this shade down here, which is Morgana, all the time on the lid because it is just, it pops. It pops on the lid. It's completely beautiful. Then I have the Natasha Denona Star palette, and this one is the most expensive, I think, palette in my collection, and it looks like I've gotten a lot of use out of it, but surprisingly I don't. I used it again the other day because I was like, wait a second, I refuse to spend that much on a palette and not use it. So I did pull it out, and I was using the browns in here, and I did use the shimmer. Really pretty. It definitely can stretch and go a lot further than what I use it for, so I just need to really dive in there and put it to some good use. The Cheers to the Beauty Colored Rain palette. This one I'm holding back away from the camera because it's so large, and this is what that one looks like. This one was encouraged by Kathleen Lights. She talked about this in a video and did an eye look, and I also just really liked it, and it was on sale for like half off, so I figured, hey, why not? This shade right here is gorgeous. It's called Iconic, and I'll swatch that for you. It is just like it says, iconic. Another Kylie palette here. It's called the Take Me On Vacation palette. The brush is not in there. Good thing, because it would have fallen out. And this one's pretty. It's very neutral, but it's also very feminine and light. Yeah, I don't have a lot to say about it because I don't remember using it. I'm sure I did, I just don't remember. Another long palette here. It is the Nudie Patootie Laura Lee Los Angeles. I did a review on this on my channel, and I think I pulled the video down because it was just such a terrible review on my part. The palette is beautiful though. Don't let my crappy review, if you did see it, sway you in any way. I think I said the palette was great, but I didn't show the palette a lot. I didn't swatch the palette, I don't think. I don't know what I was thinking, but anyway, beautiful palette. Two more Jeffree Star palettes. I have the Beauty Killer, which is his first palette, looks like that, and the Androgyny palette looks like that. Another Colored Rain palette. It's called the Queen of Hearts palette, and I keep the little sleeve because I think it looks really pretty like that, and it looks like this. Very pretty. Another Kylie palette, and this is the Nice palette that came in a holiday collection, and this one's really pretty. I think I saw Manny MUA do a review on this palette, but I think it was in the black packaging, which means I think he got it a little later, but in any event, he did a really good review on it. He did a great look with it, and I just, you know, think it's a great palette. The palette heard round the world. The Too Faced Sweet Peach palette. This palette smells amazing. I'm sure it's too old for me to be using, but I stayed up till like 3 in the morning to get this palette. I will never forget that. And then there was Kylie's version of the Sweet Peach palette. She called hers the Peach palette. I don't know what the other name would be. Again, a brush comes in there. Yeah, it's pretty. She's got a pop of blue in there. She's got some shimmers. Nothing really special or to write home about, but yeah, that's her palette. We've got the Kat Von D, now KVD, Shade and Light eye palette. This is great for learning. This is great for teaching. Just great for eye looks. We've got the cool, we've got the neutral, and we've got the warm. All matte. We've got the Lunar Beauty Life's a Drag palette. This has to be one of the best palettes out there. It has so many neutral colors. It's got all of those bright colors. It just has everything. It's got something for the beginners. It's got something for the campier eyeshadow wearers. It satisfies all of us. Thank you, Manny. Then I have a Makeup Forever palette. This is like one of my first palettes. As you can see, this one's been loved, and I love it because you build eye looks going upwards. It came with like a booklet that explained to you how to do eye makeup, and I used to love to do one with this row, and then I did an eye look once with this row. Did them with, you know, various rows and just kind of had fun with it. Too Faced Chocolate Bar, one of the OGs. And I love this palette. I've hit pan on one. It still smells good, and I still will use it. I'm gonna destroy this artist's name, but Jean Basquiat, I think it's Basquiat. It's the Urban Decay palette that they did with him, and the brush is still in there. And I just love this color story. I think it's really cool. I haven't used it as much as I probably should, but again, theme of this video. Next Urban Decay is the original Naked palette. We've all seen it. We all love it. We all hate it. Yeah. Urban Decay Naked Heat looks like that. Very red, very orange, very muted, kind of boring, but I don't know. I just couldn't get a different eye look if I tried. Urban Decay Electric palette. Woohoo! Still has the brush in there. Best bright palette there is. And Urban Decay's best palette they've released, in my opinion, the Born to Run. It has something for everyone. Again, something for the neutral wearers, something for the more adventurous wearers. Not going to swatch this one because we've all seen the videos and the looks and the things on this one. I've got 3 palettes from Collab. I've got Best of the Day. I've got Get Ready With Me and First Impressions. Then I have 3 Visart palettes. I have the warm mattes, the neutrals, and then I have the dark mattes. Now the dark mattes I don't use as much as the other 2. I think it's beautiful. I spent a lot of money on it, but I don't use it as much as I should. The neutral palette, this is my favorite palette of all time. I know, look at it. Kind of weird that this is my favorite palette of all time, but because of the formula, its versatility, and it's just everything about it. I love it. The warm matte is a close second. As you can see, I hit pan on colors on that one. Just when I'm going for a warmer look, then maybe with the other palette, I would reach for this one. Then I have the Narcissist Loaded palette. Looks like that. Everyone was doing campaigns for this one, so I figured, hey, it must be good. Let me pick it up. It is good. It's not extremely memorable, but it's definitely a great neutral everyday palette. Then I have the Jaclyn Hill Morphe Vault collection, and there's 4 palettes there. I'll show you them really quick. We've got one there, one there, one there, and one there. Then we have my Anastasia palettes, so I'll go through them really quick. We've got the Master Palette by Mario. I'll never get rid of this one because it's just so beautiful. All of the shades are named after people he's done makeup on, or like places he's been, like Hollywood, NYC, Kim, things like that. The Jackie Aina ABH palette. The Subculture, blah, blah, blah. For those of you that don't know, there was a huge controversy over this palette because it came out inconsistent. Some people got great palettes, some people got crappy palettes, meaning the pigment just wasn't working, but for the most part, they were crappy. Modern Renaissance, the best palette that released by them. In my opinion, it's one of the best. Most popular, I should have said. The Riviera palette. I think this is the most recent one I've purchased. I love this palette so much. This is probably my favorite because it's so colorful and there's so much you can do with it. The Norvina palette. Again, very pretty. Less bright than the Riviera, but still gorgeous. We've got all shimmers along the top and then mattes along the bottom. Then we've got the Soft Glam. Looks like that. And last one, the Prism. And that was drawer number 2. All right, guys, drawer number 3, if I could find the handle. This is my bigger, bulkier palettes. Basically the ones that don't fit elsewhere, I just kind of shove in here, and they hardly see the light of day, but I do use them once in a blue moon. So we're gonna start with this side of the drawer over here. I've got the Jeffree Star Blood Sugar palette. For those of you that haven't seen it, it does have the little locks on the side, and then you pull it open and it looks like that. I've got the BH Cosmetics Carly Bible palette, the deluxe edition. I think I gave away the first edition, but I do have the deluxe still here with the highlights and the regular shadows. Then I've got a bunch of Morphe palettes. I'm gonna try to pull those out and show those all to you. Okay, I've got the Morphe Dare to Dream palette that looks like this, the 39A. I did use this for a while, but I didn't get a ton of use out of it. Then I have the James Charles Morphe palette, and this is what that one looks like. Similar to the last one, but a little bit more colorful, as you can see. I like Morphe shadows. I know people give them a lot of flack, but I actually think the formula is pretty good. Then I have some of the throwback Morphe palettes in the original plastic. I have the 35R, which is this one. The 350, which was the most popular palette ever. When this first came out, everybody had to have it. It was sold out everywhere. Jaclyn Hill did a video on it, so I bought it. This one I actually won in a giveaway. One of the women that I follow on Instagram, her name is Stevie Cakes. I won one of her giveaways, and this was in the giveaway. Woohoo! Hi, Stevie. And the 3502 with the new logo on it. A little bit redder than the original 350, so it just leans more orange. Then I of course have the Jaclyn Hill Morphe palette, and what I did was, mine didn't come with the color names, so I just printed it out with a piece of paper from my computer. So, and then it's got a lot of use. Then I have the Morphe and Kathleen Lights palette. I love this palette so much. I used it all the time, as you can see. I've got the 15N palette, which looks like that. And then I got the Morphe Manny MUA Glam palette, which is freaking beautiful. Looks like that. Manny does such a good job with his color stories. It's like almost ridiculous. Then in the drawer I have the Violet Voss Pro, which looks like this. Wait, what is this called? The Holy Grail. I've got my first eyeshadow palette, which is the Mi Vida Loca by Kat Von D. Beautiful artwork, beautiful palette. I mean, does it get better than that? I don't think so. Can't get this anymore. This is limited edition. Sorry, keeping it forever. I've got the Jeffree Star Alien palette. Such cool packaging. I mean, he doesn't get beat on packaging, so that's what this one looks like. Then I've got what isn't really a palette, it's more of just like a holder, but I keep them in here because they're still eyeshadows. It's the Melt Stack, it's the Rust Stack. So basically these are all magnetic and they sit on top of one another. For those of you that haven't seen it, I will show you what I mean. See how they're stacking? They are really cool. They're great for travel, and this one's a mirror, so you just stick that one on top and you're ready to go. Then I have a bunch of Juvia's Place palettes. I'll go through those next. I've got the Saharan by Juvia's. Looks like that. Beautiful palette. I mean, the colors are kind of all over the place, but I love that about it. Their first palette, which was called the Nubian. This is so beautiful on all skin tones. I mean, there isn't a color in there I don't like. The Warrior by Juvia's. I had to have this palette when I saw it for obvious reasons. I mean, these colors are just beautiful. Got the Zulu by Juvia's. And these colors are amazing. I mean, the pigment on these is just, look at this. I mean, are you kidding? Wow. Then we've got the Nubian 2 by Juvia's, which looks like this. This was my favorite and most popular palette for a while. As you can see, it's been used quite a bit. And just the colors, I used to use Zuri all the time as inner corner highlight, Madagascar and Morocco in the crease, and just, I love this palette. The Magic by Juvia's, another great one as far as color goes. You got your bluish green down here, and then you got some goldish tan and reds going on up there. Beautiful. Then the Masquerade by Juvia's. I think they made a mini version of this, the mini Masquerade or something like that. But I got the bigger one when it first came out. I was chasing their line for a while. I even have their blush palettes elsewhere as well. So yeah, their palettes are amazing. The formula is one of the best on the market. Okay, then I have this Tarte High Performance Naturals set. It came as like a holiday set. What it is it's 4 separate little palettes in here that you put in this little travel palette up here. Let me show you this. It's pretty cool. So this is empty, and it has a little mirror, and then you put one of these little quad looking things right inside there. So it's really cute. All right, I've got the Ulta Beauty Melissa Michelle palette. I didn't really watch Melissa Michelle a lot. No shade to her, I just had never heard of her. But I did stumble upon her channel one day and thought this palette was completely beautiful and went and purchased it. So yeah, you never know who will stumble upon your channel, and you never know who will have merchandise that you'll love. So this is a really cute palette. Perfusion, another palette by them. This palette is awesome. I didn't use it as much as the other Perfusion palette, but I did get some use out of it. I like the names of this too. Kind, gentle, sweet, trust, caring, joy, things like that. I love it. Then we've got the Tarte Graveyard Girl Swamp Queen palette. Yes, Graveyard Girl. I love her so much. And this was her palette that she released a few years ago, and I just love it. It says up at the top, believe in yourself, love yourself, embrace your individuality. And I just love Bunny so much. So yeah, this is just a great palette. And I also have the Nikkie Tutorials Too Faced Power of Makeup palette, and this one had a little bit of controversy afterwards, unfortunately, but it's still a good palette and I love it, and I'm glad Nikkie had the opportunity to do this. I've got a BH Cosmetics Foil Eye 28 color eyeshadow palette. I used it mostly for the purple shades because I really wanted like a purple foiled look. I haven't used this in a really long time. I'm sure it's, you know, pretty old, but the colors are still beautiful, so they still show up. Huh, who knows? Maybe I'll grab this. Then I've got 2 Storybook Cosmetics palettes. I've got the Fairy Tales one, and that one looks like this. And I have never used this one yet. I think it came in a BoxyCharm. Hi. It came in a BoxyCharm, and I just never used it yet. So again, gotta pull that one out. And I have the Mean Girls Burn Book with Storybook Cosmetics, and I did a whole video and review on this on my channel, so please check that out. It's one of my favorite videos I've done because it's pretty collective and just gives a really good review. I love this palette. I think it's really cute. Formula leaves a little bit to be desired, but I mean, it's so fun. It's got, the names are like, She Doesn't Even Go Here, and Regina George, and Cool Mom, and stuff like that. So really cute. Back in the corner there, I've got the Smashbox palette. I forget what it's called. Let's see. Masterclass palette, Create and Transform. And it's got eyeshadows up here, transformers down here, contour and cheeks, and lipsticks down at the bottom. I bought this. This was like $65, $70. And I bought this to do a review of it on my channel. And I just got so unmotivated to do the review that I was just like, forget it. I never really used it. I mean, I used the eyeshadows, I think, here and there, but as far as the rest of the stuff, I really didn't. But I hold on to it because it is really, really pretty. All right, then I've got the Crown Pro palette. This came in a BoxyCharm. Again, really warm shades, nothing really too special. I mean, we've seen a million palettes like that. I just keep it because, I don't know, no one wants it. I have the Urban Decay Gwen Stefani palette. This one I did a review on my channel too. It was before I really knew a lot about eyeshadow palettes. Looking at it now, it's very neutral and just very kind of blah. Sorry, Gwen, I love you like my sister, but the palette, you know, a lot of these colors are the same. A lot of the colors don't pop, but it was Gwen and I had to have it, so that's that. I've got the Pure Midnight Masquerade face palette, and this came in a BoxyCharm as well, and this has 6 shadows there, and it's got some blushes, and I don't really know what to do with these. I mean, even if I had a deep skin tone, I mean, these are very, very dark. I wouldn't really use them as blushes, so I'm not really sure, I guess eyeshadows, but yeah, that's the Pure Midnight Masquerade. Then I've got 2 BH Cosmetics Shan XO palettes. I've got her Original 9 eyeshadow palette. thing. And then on the back, it has the 9 lipsticks. As you can see, I only used like 3 of the lipsticks, 4 of them. This was a genius idea, so much so that she did it again, and it was called the Remix. This one's got 9 shadows on the back of the original shadows. So this was the original. This shade actually came in broken when I got it. I figured I already had the original one, so I wasn't going to return it. So BH, you sent me a broken palette there. Then I have the Balm Cosmetics. The only thing I really own from the Balm is Meet Matte Nude. And this is what that one looks like. It's all matte colors, obviously, and they're all named matte stuff, like Matt Johnson, Matt Garcia, Matt Malloy. It's kind of weird. I've never used this palette. And the last palettes I have in there are like these empty or, you know, filled, but Z palettes. This one's from Tarte, and it's got the Army camo. And there's a bunch of shadows in there from various companies. I'm not going to go through them right now. I might do a video on that though, but I'll just open them and show you. This one's all shimmers. This one's, I think, Coastal Scents shadows, which are super cheap. I never really got into them though, as far as like pigment and stuff. They're okay. They're not the best. And then this is an Ofra open palette that I have a bunch of shadows in as well. That, my friends, is all of my eyeshadow palettes. Did you enjoy the video? I sure hope so, because it took me all day to film this. Hey guys, thank you so much for watching my eyeshadow palette collection video. If you like what you saw, please subscribe and tell a friend, hit the notification bell, do all of those things that you're supposed to do after you watch a video or something that you like. I just went through all my palettes. It took me all day. I figured it out. I'm so proud of me. And yeah, thank you so much. I appreciate it. I hope you'll stay tuned for the rest of my channel. Bye. Took my lashes off already because I don't have time for all that. It's 7:30. I'm not making the 8 o'clock cutoff tonight.